Hey guys, Fletch from All Things Overlanding here. Today, I'm going to be walking you through my newly built, I guess you could call it a shelf or a drawer system. There's no drawer per se, but there is a slider on top to mount my Iceco fridge. So basically I did a 40% seat delete. Really super easy. I'm going to put a link in the description down below to Soft-Roading the West's video because he did that exact same thing and I used his video step-by-step to do it. Super easy, so thanks to him for making that awesome video. Don't want to beat a dead horse, so I'm just going to link you to his. Check his out if you want to know how to take your seat out. Super easy. Once I did that though, then I had a buddy help me build this little contraption here. I'm going to kind of show you around it, show you all the features of it, talk about how I built it. I'm going to literally throw up on the screen the dimensions of it, so if you are looking to do this thing, it should make it super easy for you to build the exact same thing the exact same way I did it, or modify it for your own use, however you want to do it. So if you want to learn more about the shelf system, if you want to learn more about the mount for the fridge and kind of how I did that, stay tuned. All Things Overlanding is brought to you by some fantastic companies. You should definitely check out the description and click through their links to see all the awesome stuff they offer. Companies like Red Arc for all your overlanding power management needs. Last US Bag, tons of amazing quality overlanding bags. Rugged Bound Supply Company, rooftop tents, awnings, roof racks, and more. The More Expo 2022, get your tickets below. And Northology Overland, guided overlanding trips and a free overlanding magazine. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've actually got my lithium battery right up here. I am getting ready to wire in a dual battery setup. So I've got an AGM battery up front as my starter battery, and then I've got this 100 amp hour, ampere time lithium battery. That's going to be my second battery. It's all going to be controlled through my Red Arc stuff. So my Red Arc system will control the power for both batteries. It will also control the fridge and everything. So I'm really super excited about this setup because it's going to be super useful for me. It's going to help me control everything. I'm going to put solar on the roof of the truck as well. So that solar will be charging all the time, both batteries. And so I'm super, super excited about the setup. However, today we are not here to talk about that. That'll be a future video. So instead today we're going to talk about this shelf system, if you will. Again, as I mentioned, Soft-Roading the West made a great video that tells you how to take out your back seat. I took out the smaller portion of the seat, the 40% side, and then we built this shelf system. Again, I'm going to cut here in a second to the dimensions of it. I'm going to show you exactly how that works, but I did just want to kind of show you the way that it's set up right now is super simple, right? So you could put shelving in here, you could put drawers in here, you could put, you know, say an oven or a grill or something on a slide out here if you wanted to. There's a million ways that you could set this thing up. So you can see these down here are these stock mounting places for the plastic bins, like that one over there, but on this side. There is a threaded hole down in here, so I'm not sure what that threading pitch is or what the size is, but I'm sure that you could figure that out pretty easily. And then what I'm kind of thinking is doing an L bracket just from right here to there just to further concrete this down. But let me show you how we've attached this. So back here you can see, essentially what we did was we screwed and glued a piece of wood to the back. So basically the structure of it is, you know, there's this long board up front, then there's the longer board across the top, and then about a 4.5-inch board that goes down the back. And again, I'm going to give you all these dimensions here in a moment, but I just wanted to kind of show you the overall layout so you knew what you were getting into before you saw the design. And then we screwed this board into the backboard there, right? And then what my buddy did, who is a woodworker and much more talented than me, is he basically took his drill press, drilled a hole out, and then used a bandsaw to cut a straight line in there, and then he bored it out so that there's a lip down in there. These are stock Nissan bolts in here, and they have little nuts that screw into the top. So then basically what I was able to do is just use the stock mounting brackets. And again, when you do this, if you're doing something similar, you would just want to take your piece of wood, set it down next to it, and then mark where the holes should go. That's all we did. I don't know the dimensions between those, but you could measure it in your truck and figure that out pretty easily. But then again, with that little lip down in there, it basically gives you a slot to use your stock nuts to adhere that and basically attach it. Now, you could use thicker wood, you could use metal or something if you wanted to. You could use an L bracket if you wanted to and just attach it to the back. There's a million ways you could do this, right? He's a woodworker, so we used wood. Again, though, it is sort of self-sufficient, like it's standing on its own weight, and with the weight of the fridge on it too, it really doesn't move hardly at all. So it is pretty sturdy. I think once I add L brackets up here, that will sort of box the whole frame, and that should make it super strong. Then up front here, again, I am going to run my dual battery with my battery just being accessible right here. I'm going to use D-rings here and just basically put a strap or a bungee around this battery to keep it nice and tight up against this box. So let me walk you around to the other side and I will show you the back of what this looks like. Okay, so over here, it looks super janky right now. I'm not done. I'm going to cut off all these stickers. I'm going to make them basically flush so that they cover up everything. But then my Red Arc stuff is going to go over this. So basically it's going to be like a sticker graffiti backdrop with my Red Arc stuff, my Manager 30, and then my TVMS down there, which will control all the electronics. And then I'm just going to route, you know, lines or holes through here where the wires are going to run, and then I'm going to hide everything down behind the fridge freezer and then run it down to the floor and, you know, back underneath the center console or however I need to get everything run electrically. So again, this will be the mount for the electronics. It also serves as a separator, right, just to keep the fridge separate from everything else, which is kind of nice. I also, for the time being, there is a fair amount of space back here. So for now, I've got my portable solar panels just strapped down. There's a stock clip back here, which you can see there, and then I attached it to the bottom of the lip there, and I basically just bungee those in because they're kind of big and bulky and kind of hard to store. Eventually those will go up in my rooftop tent, but you could put something fairly sizable back in here beside the fridge. So it could be a stove, it could be, you know, anything that you need some space for that is relatively tall and or bulky. This would be a great place for some extra storage, just using some D-rings and some bungees. All right, guys, so as promised, I'm just going to quickly sketch out sort of the dimensions of the shelf that I built. I also may throw this up on the website at some point. If I do that, check the description down below to find a link to my website for that, where I'll have it all labeled out. All right, so I'm going to start with sort of a side view. I'm going to show you, you know, if you're looking at it from the door, if you're looking in from the side of the door, right, there's that front piece that sort of holds the shelf up. Then there's the part that the fridge sits on, right? So here's the fridge slider. Here's the fridge, okay? And then in the back, it drops down a little bit, and then there's a piece that kicks out. That is where the sort of stock bolts and nuts go through that will hold it in place. So let me write out the dimensions for these. I measured them all for you. So basically, it is 12 inches tall. This piece that goes across the top here is 26 inches long, okay? If you're looking at this from like a 3D sort of standpoint, it's 16 inches that direction. So the board itself is 16 inches long and 12 inches tall. That makes up the front sort of brace for the shelf. The back piece here is 4.5 inches tall. And then this little kick out here is about 1.5 inches long. So about 1.5 inches long. It's basically all made of 3/4 inch pine plywood. So nothing terribly expensive. I did the whole thing with less than half a sheet. So I basically bought a 4x4 sheet of pine plywood. Prices are crazy right now, but it was still about $40 worth of wood. And that's what I basically used for this whole thing. Okay, so now let me go into a tiny bit more detail about that back piece. I just want to show you it. So what we did was, again, basically this for the back piece where the stock bolts are used to hold it down. This whole thing is 18 inches long, okay? And then again, what we did was we took a drill bit, we drilled like a drill press, we drilled a hole down here where the actual bolts themselves are, and then we mitered out the ends here. And then we did put like a little recessed sort of lip in here so that it would sit flush so we could get the nut down in it. But actually that probably weakens the structure. You don't actually have to do that. You can just put a piece of wood here. Again, as long as the thickness of the wood doesn't exceed the bolt. So again, you don't have to get that crazy and do that sort of recessed part. You could literally just take a piece of plywood, right? Drill your holes, measure where your nuts are, mark them, or measure where your bolts are, mark them, and then drill holes in it, put them right through there, and then put your nuts down over the top, cinch it down, and you're good to go. So it works the same. Okay, so now to give you sort of a top-down view on what the actual shelf looks like, the part that the fridge sits on. One note is that it does stick over the remaining 60% part of the seat, because obviously the fridge is longer than the 40% part of the seat that I deleted. So there is like a kick out that goes over the seat. There's tons of room left on that side. So you can definitely get one person in the back, but you technically are kind of giving up that middle sort of half seat that you would have had. So just be cognizant of that. If you do this mod, then you're gonna have one seat in the back and one up front. So you're gonna have room for 3 people basically. But so here's what the top looks like, right? So this is the door over here, okay? So that's the door. This is where the fridge would sit. And then this is this piece with the kick out that goes over the seat, right? So Here's the back of the seat, right? Like this is the seat back here, and then this is basically how this works around it. So the dimensions on this are, this is 18 inches long, right there. Again, this is 26 inches from here to here. Then the length of the long side is 27 inches from there to there. And then this piece here is 19 inches. Okay, so you basically got 26 inches long for the shelf, 27 inches long, 26 inches deep, 18 inches is basically that space where the seat's been deleted. So basically what we did was we cut the plywood down to 27 by 26, right? We just cut a chunk out 9 inches by 7 inches that came out of it. And then that just sits on that back piece. So this is that back support, and then this was the front support. It's only 16 inches long, so it only goes part of the way over, which is still plenty for the fridge because the rest of this is sitting on the seat, right? So this is the seat underneath it here. So this actually sits kind of flush with the seat, and the seat provides additional support, which is kind of nice. So as far as usable space goes, I did go ahead and measure. Obviously there is kind of a hump in the back here, but so from a usable space standpoint, at the tallest point here, it's about 11.5 inches tall. And then the distance from, you know, the edge of the door back to the side of the seat, so let's say this is the seat back here, this distance here is 19 inches deep. So you get about 19 inches between basically the side of the door where the door would close back to the seat that you get to use, and about 11.5 inches tall, which obviously gets shorter at the top. All right, guys, so that was the shelf system, the fridge mounting system, the electronics mounting system. I liked the idea of having kind of both working together because I wanted to reserve that third seat. I wanted to have that extra seat in the back so I could throw a kid back there if we're going camping, and get as much use out of the 40% split as I possibly could. So again, this way gives me room for the fridge. Underneath of the fridge down here, I could mount soft stuff like wool blankets, pillows, my toilet tent, anything that's sort of soft and not rigid that needs a place to go that's kind of oddly shaped because there is a bump up back here where the seat would normally be. So, but again, tons and tons of great use of space in here. And again, you could go nuts with this, right? You could mount all kinds of stuff. You could make it taller too. Like I had kind of thought about making it a little bit taller, moving the fridge up and maybe putting a second row here to give you some more storage. So you could do something like that. But again, hopefully the dimensions help you get a basis for how to do something like this. If you have any questions though, of course, post up in the comments down below. I'm always happy to help. If you've done something like this, I'd love to hear from you, like what ideas you had, what things you did that were maybe unique or different than what I did. But again, thanks for watching. If you're not already, make sure to click that subscribe button, click the bell to be notified when new videos drop. Also in the description below are links to my fridge, links to the slide, links to the battery, anything that you see in this video, I'm going to try and link to just to make it as easy as possible for you to find it. I'll also tell you the materials that I use to build the drawer system. Basically, it's just some screws and like half a sheet of pine plywood. But I will put that in the description down below as well. And then links to Facebook, Instagram. I've got a podcast that I do every week about overlanding stuff and do-it-yourself modifications. We've also got a Patreon page and a Discord where we chat now, so that's really awesome. I'd love to have you there as well. And then there's a newbie overlanders group on Facebook, so if you're on Facebook and you want to come hang out, we'd love to have you in that group as well. Links to all that stuff down in the description below. But again, thanks for watching. Hope that was helpful, and we'll see you guys next time.